Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tea Time SEO here at Authoritas. I'm SEO Joe Blogs growth marketer, and I am joined by Carrie Shepherd, our marketing exec. Can you give us a wave, Carrie?
Hey, guys.
And we also have our two speakers, Arnout and Helen.
Hello.
All right.
So this is our first ever Tea Time SEO, and we put on this little tea break. Oh, hello everyone. Hello Nicole. Hello Lawrence. We put on this tea break really to connect everyone that is working from home. For some of them, some people, it is a lonely time as they don't live with anyone. For others, it might be a bit more noisy, maybe those that have children. And we want to have this take place every day at 4 p.m. British Summer Time, so that we can give people the opportunity to take a break, connect with others, and learn. So thank you very much to everyone that's coming in and adding their comments, Julien, Muriel, Justina, and Helen. So we're going to kick off now with an introduction to Helen. So Helen has a wealth of experience. Helen, maybe you can go into a bit more details about some of the things that you will be talking about today.
Yes, so essentially I've been in digital marketing for just over a decade, specialising in SEO and analytics. So I'm really excited today to be talking about how to report on SEO effectively using Google Analytics.
Thank you, Helen.
Oh, well, yeah, that's me. So I do, basically I'm a consultant for search, PPC and SEO and analytics as a freelancer. I've been doing the SEO thing for about 10 years, then moved into analytics pretty fast because I think that is where the data springs to mind and where you can prove your worth. I'm from Amsterdam. I'm married, homeschooling 3 kids at the moment. Yep.
You are certainly multitasking then, Arnout. So we've got Arnout from Amsterdam, Helen's in Kent, Carrie's in Putney, and I'm in Barcelona. So we want this also to be an interactive session. So we've got our 2 speakers talking about SEO reporting and analytics, and we will have a Q&A at the end. And I do hope everyone's got their cup of tea and cake ready. So we'll kick off with Helen sharing her tips around SEO reporting and analytics. Over to you, Helen.
Thanks, Joe. So Google Analytics is a wealth of information, especially when it comes to SEO reporting, but it can oftentimes look a little bit like a dumpster fire because a lot of the information that you are seeing in Google Analytics is just a mess. Some of it is completely inaccurate, some of it is just plain lies. So when you're looking to use Google Analytics for your SEO reporting, you have got to make sure that the data that you are reporting on, common issues that you will see in Google Analytics. And as a consultant, I see this all the time, even with agencies' reports and agencies' Google Analytics accounts, is that there is a lot of misattribution going on. So Google Analytics understands how traffic has come to your website by looking at the referral source. It's a bit of information that is essentially communicated when someone visits a web page. The browser communicates this information. Google Analytics is able to identify where a visitor came from when they arrived on your website. However, a lot of the time, Google Analytics does get that wrong. Common instances are search engine traffic that should be counted as organic is just being counted as a referral, which isn't great when you're trying to report on SEO success. Google Analytics will often get Google My Business traffic wrong. So it will say that it is an organic visit if someone clicks on your website link on the Google My Business listing, which is correct, but it doesn't actually separate it out as a Google My Business visit unless you tell it to do that, which means you don't really get that clarity around whether your Google My Business listing is working particularly well for you. And there is, of course, the abyss of direct traffic. Who knows what direct traffic really is? That's essentially just a pile of dark data. It's very difficult to actually get to the bottom of what traffic is, where traffic's coming from when it's getting lumped into this direct category. So actually, Google Analytics is incredibly useful, it's incredibly powerful, but it's also incredibly wrong a lot of the time. So when we are looking to report on the success or SEO campaigns, we need to make sure that our Google Analytics reporting is accurate. So things like using filters to correct some of that incorrectly categorized traffic. You can use filters to change in Google Analytics how a visit is reported. So it could be, for instance, that you are noticing that a lot of traffic that's coming through as a referral from l.facebook.com, you actually want that to be a social media visit. So you can use filters to change that. You can use filters to change how organic traffic is shown. So rather than it coming through as a referral, it can be corrected as organic traffic. So filters are really powerful. They're very dangerous if you get them wrong. So use filters with caution, but they can be a really good way of correcting some of that misattribution that's going on in Google Analytics. Also, I would really advise that you have a look through your referral sources in Google Analytics. Look at the medium, look at the source, and make sure that if you're noticing any of it pulling through as not set, that you start to investigate that. So Google Analytics will often say that traffic is not provided, information is not provided. That's essentially where Google Analytics knows something, it's just not telling you about it. Like, for instance, keywords within Google Analytics will often go as being not provided. Not set is when Google Analytics can't actually say with certainty what something is. So when you're noticing not set as a medium or a source, it means that Google Analytics isn't able to get that referral data, so it can't say with accuracy how that traffic is coming to your site. And that shouldn't really happen with much frequency. And if it is happening, it's probably because somewhere along the line, someone has used something like a UTM code on a link, and it's pulling that information in such a way that Google Analytics can't actually work out quite what that source is. So if you're noticing a lot of not set within the referral sources, then that's something you need to look into. And of course, try to exclude bot traffic wherever you can, because that is really going to mess up your reporting. And it's just irritating because it inflates your numbers. So I mentioned UTM codes and how they can sometimes lead you a little bit astray in terms of information pulling through as not set. UTMs are incredibly powerful and they're really useful, and they also can be horribly misused. UTMs essentially are a little bit of code that you put onto the end of the URL. So it's essentially a parameter for a URL, but it helps to replace some of that referral data that Google Analytics is able to understand when someone visits your website. So if, for instance, they are coming from another website, visiting your website, Google Analytics should be able to understand what that other website was and put it through that information through into your account. If you are using a UTM code, you're essentially overwriting that referral information. So Google Analytics might have thought you came from website A, but it's seen the UTM code, so it's going to overwrite that referral source as whatever is contained in that UTM, which is great and really handy when you're trying to do things like track stuff accurately. But if you use UTMs incorrectly, you're essentially putting fuel onto that dumpster fire.
Well, Helen, incorrect. So I was going to say that, well, we've definitely learned a lot from UTMs from our end. So definitely will not be using them on internal links. And you had some other tips as well that you wanted to share with us.
Specifically around reporting on SEO. So metrics you shouldn't be using are really anything that is site-wide. So for instance, often I'll see in reports people talking about site-wide bounce rate. It's not really a useful metric in any way because it doesn't tell you anything. So why are you reporting on it? Make sure when you're reporting on SEO that essentially everything you're reporting with aligns to the audience of the report's KPIs. And normally, spoiler alert, it's money. People care about money. So make sure your reports are always reflecting how you are adding value, adding revenue through your website. Don't blame things on algorithms. If you noticed a drop in your organic traffic, don't assume that it was an algorithm change that did it unless you can 100% prove it, which will be difficult. You're essentially just causing problems for yourself when you see that drop happen again in a month's time. So try to investigate wherever you can. And something just really to end on, keyword ranking reports, you just make a roll for your own back. If you are reporting regularly on the movements of keywords for clients or your bots, as soon as that fluctuates in any way, that's the sort of thing that they're going to pick up on. And keyword rankings, they do fluctuate. There are differences that you'll notice week on week, month on month. It might not be a problem. So just be really careful about what keywords you're actually looking to report on. And my advice is only really report on keywords if you are actually doing something on the site that should be affecting the rankings of those keywords.
Well, thank you very much, Helen. Some great tips. And I do like your part about keyword ranking reports or a rod for your own back.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I do hope many people take that on board. So thank you for those tips. And Arnout will share his top tips around SEO reporting and analytics. We will also be having some Q&A, so please drop your questions in the chat, everyone.
Yeah, please do. I'm not going to talk about analytics. I fully agree on all the points made by Helen. I'm going to talk about another piece of reporting that Google has given us, which is Search Console. And we probably all know Search Console. We probably, most of us, regularly look into it. But I guess, or my guess is that not a lot of people will know the significance of the date of the 19th of August 2018, because that was the point where I got a call from quite a few of my clients saying, oh, there was an algorithm, ooh, whatever happened? We lost a lot of traffic. Well, actually, they didn't lose a lot of traffic. But because I was using reporting based on a Google Data Studio report where I was filtering out my brand terms, and I had a long tail, as in keywords that got 5-10 clicks in that reporting period. What Google has done is, if you filter anything, they will leave out a random number of results. So roll it out in the night of the 18th to 19th of August. They did it because of, I don't really think that's true, but hey, whatever.
What did you say? Sorry, they did it because of why? I think it cut out there.
Privacy.
Privacy.
So they literally said, we were doing this to provide or not show that certain visits actually were on this keyword, which I think is just a cover up, but whatever. So I'm going to show you how to get at least some of that information back. So I would highly recommend you guys not to use the standard integration into Google Data Studio from Search Console. Because any query you do, whether it's in the interface or through the API, Google will filter queries out. So it will only give you a number, but that number is not the real number. Okay, next page, please. So I don't think a lot of people can see this, but my point on this is that there is, yeah, that one. The point here is that there is a add-in for Google Sheets that will give you all the raw information from the API. The other thing it will give you search terms, so literally the query, and the actual page ranking. So it will also give you impressions, CTR, position. But then when you have the raw data, you can start slicing it up, filtering, doing everything, and getting all of your useful information. However, if you have a really big site, Google Sheet can't handle that many rows. So if you have a really big site, use BigQuery for this. Then when you have this, you can build any report in Data Studio or any other reporting tool on top of this. Okay, next one. So to end up with my top tips, don't filter. So in the interface, if you filter, you'll get, well, not the truth. So it's good to give you an idea, but it's not good enough. So the next one is use the Search Analytics for Sheets plugin. It's free. You can just Google it, and you can just install it and then log in with the same account in your sheets as you have the Google Search Console access for, and then that's it. And alternatively, you can, if you're using the API, you can also plug it into BigQuery if you have a bigger site. So that's my top tip on SEO reporting and insights on Search Console.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Helen and Arnout. Thanks. We have a few people that have been asking questions. I see one from Monse. Monte's asked about the integration on Google Data Studio. Well, you're saying that more like a comment, it drove you nuts the first time she tried it. Do you have any sort of tips with this integration?
Well, yeah, the way I now integrate this into useful reports is put sheets in between. So you get all the raw data into sheets using the Search Analytics for Sheets plugin. It can do auto upgrades, it can do backups, weeklies, everything. So it's pretty cool. And then basically connect the sheet to Data Studio and then build your reports on that. And then you can start filtering whatever you want because you're not hitting the API, the Search Console.
Okay, good. And I've seen one from Chris Boggs about they would show the same keyword data for paid search for the same user. Chris, was that directed at Arnout or Helen?
I guess it's for Helen. It's basically they're leaving out not provided because of privacy reason, and the same thing for on basically Google Data Studio. So I guess it's about the privacy stuff because we're still getting to see all the search terms and like that people type in when you pay for Google Ads. So what the heck? So I agree with Chris on this.
Okay, Chris, yes, in GA. Okay, thank you.
GA, so.
Oh, yes, just a comment. So does anyone else have any questions for Helen and Arnout?
So I guess there's, what's the plugin name?
Yeah, the plugin name would be a good one.
Yeah, the
search. You said it was just Google it.
Yeah, Search Analytics for Sheets.
Search Analytics for Sheets, okay. Okay, great. Thank you. That's great. Thank you for that. So, Helen, you gave quite a lot of different tips, so thank you for that. And Nicole, you have some questions. We're just waiting for them to load. But yeah, you gave quite a lot actually, and I had one for you about the filters. Actually, you said don't use filters. Don't use filters as in don't use filters in the admin section, or don't use filters as in when you're using it in GA.
Do use filters, absolutely do use filters. Be really careful with them. I think what people forget is that with filters, once you filter data out, you can't get it back again. So always set up a separate view that isn't filtered. And that way you've always got that data, even if it's not in the same view that you're reporting from. But just be careful with filters, because once you're changing data, you can't undo it without taking the filter out. But then the data that's already processed through the filter, you can't get back. So use them, but just use them with caution.
Okay,
yeah,
great.
Use them in a testing view.
Testing view. So Nicole, we've got two questions here, one from Nick and Nicole and one from Chris. So Nicole is asking, what should the KPIs be which we should be using to report regularly?
I would say it very much depends, because that's the standard SEO answer and I have to say it. But it depends on what your client wants. What are their business goals? What are their marketing goals? Because all of your SEO reporting needs to be feeding into those. You have to constantly show that SEO is providing value. So what is value for them? Is it revenue? Is it exposure? What is it for them that they want SEO to be doing? And your report should always be reporting in a way that answers those questions. And it should really be reporting on activity that you've actually done recently. Reports might actually need to change month on month to reflect stats that are more relevant for work that you've been working on over the past few months, for instance. If you've just undergone a project, how is that doing? What results are coming through from that? So just making sure that you're keeping the report adapted to whoever you're reporting to. Reporting templates are a little bit useless in that way because they're so standardized that you're probably not actually reporting on anything that's of worth to people.
Okay, great. And Chris has one question as well, that they only show the keywords in GA when paid search segment. So can you set that up in a dashboard? He says it's nice to be able to pull it into query instead. Oh, he says it's about SEO. Never mind. Okay. So, okay, well, thank you both for joining us for our first Tea Time SEO. You can find both Helen and Arnout on Twitter here. We are having Tea Time SEO every day. Please join myself, SEO Joe Blogs, Carrie, and perhaps some other members of the Authoritas team here at 4 p.m. every day to connect, learn, and meet others in the SEO industry. So tomorrow we have Creating the Perfect SEO and Content Marketing Strategy with Shelley Wash from Shellshock, Rishi Lakhani from Fast Forward, and we also have Arnout here as well. So tune in tomorrow. You would have also found some emails from Carrie, who has been sending you guys some updates of what we have in store for us. And we will be sending you another email from next week. So you have a full week of the agenda for Tea Time SEO. So thank you very much, everyone, for coming today. This will be ready on YouTube in a moment.
Thanks.
Thanks.